to your home.
There will be Malawi's first national conference on debt and development with the theme Reimagining, Rethinking, Reorganizing and Remobilizing for the Global Financing and Architecture. The conference will be at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe from 25 to 26 July 2023. Malawi Conference on Debt and Development. Theme: Reimagining, Rethinking, Reorganizing and Remobilizing. There will be Malawi's first national conference on debt and development with the theme Reimagining, Rethinking. There will be Malawi's first national conference on debt and development with the theme Reimagining, Rethinking, Reorganizing and Remobilizing for the Global Financing and Architecture. The conference will be at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe from 25 to 26 July 2023.
Welcome viewers wherever you are across Malawi. I would like to welcome you to the press conference which has been organized by Malawi Economic Justice Network to share with the general public regarding the conference, the debt conference which will take place at the Crossroads Hotel tomorrow and Wednesday, the 25th and the 26th of July. The press conference has been organized to make sure that you are aware of what will be discussed at the conference. We want to share with you, the general public, the topics that have been prepared and probably the outcomes which shall come from there, how they will be able to affect our economy, which is what we have to generally participate into the shaping of the economy. So in front of me we have the members of the press who have come to do the press conference, but I have been accompanied by my colleagues who I will now just request that they do self-introductions. So I'll start from the left going to the right, and I'll start with the far left.
Good morning viewers, my name is Mike Vanda. I'm working with the Malawi Economic Justice Network.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Beatrice Makwenda and I'm working with the Trust Africa.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Betha Piri and I'm the Executive Director for Malawi Economic Justice Network. Thank you.
Good morning viewers, my name is Smigna Garuzi from Council for Influence in Malawi and the leader of the task team that is organizing the conference.
Thank you so much. Viewers, we would like to just inform you that what you see is part of the composition of the task team that was put together by Malawi Economic Justice Network to organize the conference that I just described earlier on. And my name is Leon Madanda, and I'm the chairperson of that task team. Moving forward with our press conference this morning, I will then request the Executive Director for Economic Justice Network, Madam Betha Piri, to give us a background of where this the debt conference is coming from, what is the motivation and the rationale, and probably the expected objectives of the conference. So I'll hand over to Madam Piri to do the presentation.
Thank you so much, Chair. So I will give the background to the conference that really has been organized by a task team in Malawi, but led by our institution, Malawi Economic Justice Network. For a start, let me begin by saying that imagine as a member to various networks and forums that we have. This is within the SADC region, but also in the continent. One of such is the African Forum for Network and on Data and Development, AFRODAT. Now, under this network, being a member, we sit around to network and probably also to champion work around data and development. How best can non-state actors participate in the agenda of data? How governments can be transparent enough in terms of debt contraction and management. And again, this forum is actually inspired by the common struggles that African countries do meet up with, primarily believing that problems can be overcome by particularly being in collective action on the same. So it's a network that puts countries within the continent together to deliberate on debt issues and then try to bring out with solutions on how best we can solve the debt situation across the continent. And again, the network do work in solidarity just to promote that Africa has to be a continent that is free from poverty, but also helping to develop all the gains that are shared within the continent, particularly that these gains can be equally shared among members of the countries within the continent. Now, with that background, year in, year out, the forum convenes annual gatherings, and it is in this line that in this year, the African Conference for Data and Development is actually going to happen in Senegal, which is the African Conference number 3. We had AFCOD 2 last year here in Malawi, and it is a requirement that countries do convene national conferences that could table issues, the status quo, how best can we work together to come up with solutions in the status quo of data in the countries. And so we have planned this conference primarily to bring all stakeholders together and come up with a position paper, a position or a status that would fit in the AFCOD 3 conference, which is in Senegal. And that's how we can relay the background of it, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Executive Director for Malawi Economic Justice Network, for giving the background to the National AFCOD 3 conference, which it has been scheduled for tomorrow and Wednesday. And our viewers, perhaps you just have to generate your interest into the profiling now of the conference. In this case, we are looking at who has been invited to the conference and how will the conference be conducted. So let me pass the space to Mr. Mike Banda, who is the regional coordinator for Malawi Economic Justice Network, to now present to you, our viewers, how the conference has been designed and how the participation will be like, to make sure that the issues that the ED has indicated that they should be generated to inform the position paper can then ably be highlighted adequately. So I'll give the space to Mr. Mike Banda.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, for giving me the floor. Yes, just as my ED has highlighted, this is a very high-level and all-inclusive conference that we are hosting. I will really give you the picture of how the 2 days are going to be like. In the first place, we'll have a guest of honor, who is the Secretary to the Treasury within the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. This is no other than Dr. Mafuta Male. He's going to be the guest of honor representing the Ministry of Finance, because debt issues are confined within the Ministry of Finance, and the Data and Energy Department falls within the same ministry. So Dr. Mafuta Male, the Secretary of the Treasury, will be our guest of honor for this conference. And then we have a number of speakers that are going to make different presentations, and that is going to trigger discussions amongst different sessions and panels that we have convened. So our keynote speaker will be Dr. Bechani Chereni. This is an associate professor of the MUBAS, Malawi University of Business and Applied Sciences. He is associate professor for economics. He's a renowned activist within the economic sector. I hope and believe listeners and even the media knows him very much. He's a regular in a number of media houses in as far as commenting on issues of economic performance of our country is concerned. And he is also the Deputy Secretary General for the Economic Association of Malawi. So he is going to deliver a keynote address to this conference. And then we have different panel discussions, different sessions that are going to deliberate on different topics relating to the debt. One of them is going to discuss how public debt is affecting implementation of the Malawi 2063. We all know that we have an overarching development agenda, Malawi 2063, but then how is our debt portfolio affecting the implementation of Malawi 2063? So we'll have a presentation that will speak to that, and we'll have panelists that will digest that subject matter, and part of the panel will be composed by the National Planning Commission as a custodian of our development agenda, Malawi 2063, and we'll have also panelists representing the private sector, Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and we'll have panelists representing the NGO sector. This will be the Executive Director from ActionAid, and also panelists representing the gender sector, our very own Madam Emma Kania, who sit in that panel to digest how Malawi 2063 is affected by our debt portfolio. And then we'll have another panel discussion which will also discuss about debt and climate financing. Globally, there is a movement, there is a discussion around how best can countries that are struggling with their debt tap in from finances that are made for climate financing, so that probably we will get some relief around that. So we also have a discussion around that, how climate change is also affecting, or how debt is affecting climate change financing. So we have a number of panels, even debt and youth, how is debt affecting youth development in our country. So we have a lot of panelists sitting and discussing about that. Our own Charles Kajoloweka will lead that panel to find out how debt is affecting youth development. But we are also going to have a discussion with the faith leadership. What is the role of the faith leaders in this discourse? So, as I said, it's going to be an all-inclusive, high-level discussion, which is going to look at different sectors and how they can contribute towards addressing the issue of debt. So we are not leaving anyone behind. We have the academia, we have the judiciary, we have parliament, we have the private sector, women and youth. Everybody is going to be represented to this conference, discussing how they are affected with the debt portfolio for Malawi. So in a nutshell, Chair, that's what I can say. But it is going to be both physical and virtual. So we have other participants participating through virtual, other participants coming in person, and we have invited over 80 participants to this gathering, which are going to be in physical, and then the rest of the participants will also participate through virtual. So that's in a nutshell how I can paint a picture of the 2 days that the conference is going to run. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mike, our regional coordinator for Malawi Economic Justice Network, giving you our members of the press, but also sharing with our viewers wherever they are how the conference has been organized. And in that sense, then we were able to share with you the name of the presenters, the name of the panelists, and the discussants who shall take part at this important and auspicious day conference. As a task team, we are aware that there are perceptions in the public domain regarding date, whether date is good or whether date is bad. But it is not for us to preempt it, but perhaps we can just give you a synopsis of what we believe is the position regarding the date, public date, as far as development is concerned. So briefly, I will invite the representative of Trust Africa, who is also a member of the task team, to give us a bit of synopsis into what is date all about to the development of the economy in Malawi. So I'll give the floor to Madam Beatrice Makwenda. You have the floor, Madam.
Thank you, Chair, for really igniting. So as you have said, and it is up to us also viewers to really come and engage with the various platforms, those invited to come tomorrow, and those who engage virtually to engage, as well as those who can follow the discussions online. To really, it is for all of us to really respond to this question: is date bad for Malawi? And obviously, I think this is a question that eventually, after the 2 days conference, we're going to answer, looking at what is it that we have done with the date that we have up to now, and it is pretty much impossible. You all know, for us that are coming from or managing homes, there comes that you have a plan, and sometimes you need to borrow some of the resources to meet your plans at a household level. And it's pretty much the same at a country level. We have aspirations, we have the Malawi 2063 to look up to, we have developmental goals, we have agriculture trajectories that we all need to meet, education, health, infrastructure, development, and the like. So the question really should be around, if we are to answer this question, is date bad? Maybe we also need to conversate and say, what exactly do we need to do with the date that we have? What have we done with the date? And then the date is good, maybe to kickstart the discussion that will start tomorrow, but we need to look at what is it that you are borrowing for, and are you borrowing to consume it, just to eat it all up? Or is it towards developing that now you generate economic output that needs to offset? Obviously, when you borrow, you need to pay back because it's not for free. But what are the conditions that we are looking at as a country for the debt that we are borrowing? And can we comfortably meet those conditions and pay back without really jeopardizing the next generation? So it means for us, especially who are conversating on this issue today, is also to look futuristic and see, are we in a reasonable time frame going to manage and pay back this debt? What legacy are we going to leave for the upcoming generation? And in thinking about this conference really unpacks this question: is debt bad for Malawi? What is it that the public is looking at? What is it that our legislature is looking at? What is it our oversight in terms of our parliament looking at? And generally, what is it that we are looking at from private and space? So debt, is it good or is it bad? Let us come tomorrow and really conversate on this issue and see if we've been borrowing, what have we been borrowing for, and where is it taking us? What is our roadmap in terms of this? But certainly, debt in its frame itself, it is not bad. But exactly is what we are doing with it, and what conditions we have allowed ourselves to be in it as we engage with those that are leading us. So, Chair, I would just want to kickstart and really not delve into responding to this and invite the public to the conversation in these 2 days so that we can have a position that will guide us as Malawi going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Beatrice Makwenda, for elucidating into the issue of whether date is good or bad. We did not deep dive into the issue because what we generally want is for our viewers and you, our members of the press, to be able to generate interest and then participate in the conference tomorrow, whether in physical or through virtual platforms which shall be created. It's a hybrid conference, so everyone is participating if you have interest into it, which we're generating as much as we are concerned. So you have heard from our panelists that there will be different stakeholders to the conference. There will be the private sector, there will be government officials, there will be business captains, of course, and then there will be also the civil society organizations. And one of the questions that will also be asked at the debt conference is to say, in as far as debt contraction is concerned, to what extent can CSOs get involved? So we have a representative of CSO's organization coming from Ongoma by virtue of being a coordinating agency, but he's also a member of the task team to give us a synopsis into what should be the role of the CSOs and therefore why the citizens of this country should take interest in the debt conference. So I now invite Mr. Smith Nakaluzi to take the floor. Mr. Nakaluzi, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity. First of all, I need to indicate that our involvement in debt contracting and management is premised on the view that we are agents of the poorest and the marginalized groups. We are also mindful that as civil society organizations, we are agents of accountability regarding whatever public services various institutions are implementing in Malawi. We are also agents of effective and efficient service delivery. So that's where our interest is coming from. And on that note, what we do on debt contracting and management could involve ensuring CSOs and citizen participation. And why we're emphasizing on participation is because the general public is also party to whatever agreements the government makes. So when it comes to paying back, obviously the citizens are also involved. So that should call citizens or inform citizens that they need to ensure that they are participating in all those processes. As civil society organizations, we are also able to conduct research, and maybe some of us may ask, what kind of research is this? So we are assessing the impact of this debt that the country is accumulating, and we're also ensuring that participation of other arms of government is taking place. For example, members of parliament, are they able to review some of these agreements that the government of Malawi is making? What about the judiciary? Are they taking part? So that's why I've heard that we also have one of the sessions focusing on the judiciary and the instruments that are involved in the debt contracting and management. As civil society organizations, we also monitor expenditure and the agreements. Usually debt has a number of paperwork that countries focus on. So we monitor the expenditure and agreements and also the utilization. How are the funds being utilized? Whatever funds we're accumulating as a country, are I seeing the impact on the ground? So as civil society, we do monitor all that and make sure that we engage wherever necessary. We also enforce executive accountability. We have to generate policy demands from what the general public is saying. What are the people saying? Are they satisfied with the delivery that is associated with particular dates? So if there are some gaps, we have to bring them forward to the relevant offices, in the public offices. We also have to ensure that there is proper analysis of contract, the contracts that are involved in the debts. We analyze them. Are they speaking to the needs of the country? Are they viable to us as a country? We are saying that because there are some other debts that have atrocious sides. For example, they may say that maybe you need to give this kind of percentage, or maybe you need to focus on particular services. So we have to look at all this and see the impact that the contracts may have on the public. And also ensure that we follow all these payments through the Auditor General's report. Why is that happening? It's because the Auditor General's report unveils how the government is spending on all these issues. So through the Auditor General's report, we are able to track whether these dates have been used as agreed or not. So in brief, Chair, that's what I would say without preempting what the people discuss at the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Luntha, for just giving a little bit of insight into what is probably the role which is currently missing as far as CSOs are concerned when it comes to debt contraction and debt management. Maybe as we come to the close of the first part of the press conference, maybe let me also just inform our general public, our viewers out there, and you, our members of the press, that as a task team, we also recognize the paramount importance of making sure that we deep dive also into the adequacy and relevance of our institutional frameworks. In this case, the institutions that are there that are managing our debt, but also do we have a strong legal framework as well as the policy framework that is governing the issue of debt contraction and debt repayment. So in addition to the streams that my colleague, regional coordinator for Mijin had presented to you, there will be an additional stream which is going to deep dive into the institutional framework around debt management. Over there we shall have a representative of Malawi Law Commission, because we genuinely think that if there are any inadequacies in terms of the provisions, expressive legal provisions in our laws, then we should be able to have an agenda or an advocacy strategy that will seek to review and amend some of the laws that we have, whether it is the Public Finance Management Act, or indeed as our colleagues in Zambia, they have a specific law on public debt management. So maybe that's the route we have to take. So we'll deep dive into the adequacy of the institutional framework. There will also be on the panel a renowned activist in education, Council Benedict Gondowe, who bring it from the perspective of education to say, is education also be affected by the lack of adequate instruments as far as debt management is concerned. And also we are going to have a representative from the judiciary. We genuinely think that also the aspect of judicial activism can take a critical role in shaping our debt management in the country. So we are also going to have a representative from the judiciary. And finally, we are going to have a social commentator, Mr. Mavuto Bamos, to also delve into the issue as far as the institutional framework for debt management is concerned. Members of the press, our general viewers out there, we would like to believe that we've come to the end of the first part of the press conference, because we thought that we can make these presentations first. But we are aware that you members of the press would like to have a one-on-one interview with either all of us or one of us as far as the submissions have been concerned. But amongst us, as a task team, we have designated our Executive Director for Malawi Economic Justice Network as the convener of this conference to engage you on various questions which you have. And therefore we'll take a short break and then we'll come back where now you shall have a question and answer session with our Executive Director for Malawi Economic Justice Network. At this point, permit me to just express our profound gratitude to all you, our members of the press for coming, and also the viewers for being there listening to us. We hope that we can have a more interactive session in the second part of the press conference. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Thank you.
There will be Malawi's first national conference on debt and development with the theme Reimagining, Rethinking, Reorganizing and Remobilizing for the Global Financing and Architecture. The conference will be at Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe from 25 to 26 July 2023. Malawi Conference on Debt and Development. Theme: Reimagining, rethinking, reorganizing and remobilizing for the global financing and architecture. Venue, Crossroads Hotel in Lilongwe, from 25 to 26 July 2023. Save the date.